Yeah, we're recording.
Okay. Good morning, colleagues. Welcome to the meeting of the Executive Cabinet Member Leaders Portfolio. First item on the agenda is Farnworth Green financial exit from the project. John, is it yourself introducing this report and then somebody else coming in?
No, it's myself, leader. I'll take the report, and then colleagues obviously will contribute if members have any questions in relation to the report. So, thank you, Chair. I think members, particularly those in Farnworth, will certainly be aware of the Farnworth Green developments, one of our district centre flagship regeneration schemes delivered by Capital and Centric. The project sought to transform the former Farnworth Market Precinct into a high-quality mixed-use development comprising 97 homes, commercial and community space, and significant public realm improvements. Fundamentally, this scheme played an important role in supporting the council's wider regeneration ambitions by strengthening the vitality of Farnworth Town Centre, attracting investments, and supporting the delivery of longer-term economic benefits. The development has been subject of a number of ECM reports, as detailed on the front cover of the main report, but in summary, was financed through a combination of public sector grant funding and loan facilities provided by both Bolton Council and the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. This report is very much focused on the council's successful financial exit from this particular project. So, following drawdown of all of the funding, the council's remaining financial interest in the scheme consisted of a mezzanine loan, junior to the primary loan provided by GMCA, associated accrued interest with our loan, and a deferred land receipt. And following completion of the development in 2025, the council's focus clearly shifted towards securing repayments in full and achieving a full financial exit from the project. Initial plans on the part of the developer to secure repayment through the sale of the development to an asset management company stalled because of the challenging market conditions, and consequently alternative refinancing options were considered by the developer in conjunction with the project partners. This process has culminated in a recent successful refinancing arrangement, enabling full repayments of Bolton Council's £2.941 million loan, together with accrued interest of £606,000. The interest received, probably important to note, exceeded earlier projections by £333,000, reflecting the extended period between project completion and refinancing. So the refinancing itself represents a successful conclusion to the council's financial involvement in the scheme. Not only has the council recovered its original investment in full, but it's actually achieved a better financial outcome than previously forecast. The additional interest income will, of course, be reinvested into the council's wider £100 million regeneration programme, helping to support future developments and economic growth initiatives across the borough. Our report also refers to a historical documentation error relating to the deferred land receipt. The legal agreements recorded the deferred land value as 1.02 million when the value originally agreed by all parties was actually 750k. This discrepancy of £270,000 arose because the mezzanine loan interest was incorrectly added to the deferred land value calculation. So again, the report therefore seeks approval to correct the legal documentation to reflect the parties' original intentions and allow the financial exit process to be completed in full. I think although it results in a £270,000 reduction in the contractual land receipt, the council has already realised an additional £330,000 interest income through the refinancing, and as I said, £750,000 was the original intended land value receipt. So consequently, the council's overall financial position is £63,200 better than originally anticipated, whilst also removing any ongoing financial exposure or contractual uncertainty associated with the scheme had we remained involved through the refinancing process. So, in summary, Chair, a full financial exit from the development, delivering a positive financial return. But more importantly, and I think this is the key point, this development has delivered 97 high-quality residential units in a high-quality setting, which will generate ongoing council tax revenues, together with additional business rates income as the commercial units are filled, and of course those wider economic benefits to Farnworth and the borough. We very much hope that this project will continue to have a catalytic impact on the town and drive further investment, further regeneration opportunity, and as I say, that can only be good for the town of, for the district of Farnworth and the borough as a whole. So I will pause there, Chair, and hand back to yourself, and obviously myself or the team would be happy to take any comments. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'll bring in Councillor Muslim.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, I mean, I appreciate, financial exit is just part of this. So the report in many ways is just a standard part of us, completing the project, essentially. I'm just curious, though, about the error that has been made. Who has made the error? Is it the council? Is it, people providing the loan on our behalf? Is it the GMCA? Is it Capital and Centric? Who's actually responsible for the error? And then subsequent to that, because it had been factored in that there was more money than it's actually now. I mean, we're still making a bit more extra money, which is great. But had that money been factored into other projects, so for example, we thought we were getting X amount, so then we budgeted to do this, but now we can't do that because the amount's actually lower than we anticipated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Muslim. I think through you, Chair, I think the answer to the second part of your question is no. The initial values reflected in the report to ECM, which dates back to 2023, certainly weren't driving and supporting any other projects. But it was very much an administrative error in the report, which was taken forward to ECM back in April 2023, when the value, as part of the much wider funding stack at the time, was reflected as I say, 1.02 million, and in essence, as I explained in my initial presentation, the interest associated with the mezzanine loan had been effectively added incorrectly to the £750,000 development enabling fund contribution at that time, which was to be repaid back as a land value on completion of the project. But it was never intended to be anything more than 750k. That's been clearly documented through the correspondence, and it was, as I say, an error in the report which washed through. It was identified fairly early on, but I think on the basis of not having to deal with that particular issue until the end of the scheme, it seemed more appropriate to deal with this as a final report, as you say, closing down the report, concluding the financial exit from the Farnworth Green development. So as I say, it was an initial administrative error in the report, which dates back to, I think, as I say, it was April 2023.
Thank you. Councillor Flitcroft.
Thank you, Chair. So it's along similar lines to Councillor Muslim's question, but with regards to the timescale, if it hadn't been stretched out a little bit longer, the interest would have been less, wouldn't it? So we wouldn't have had so much more coming back in. I do think that the discrepancy in the value of the land at the beginning would have a big part to play. I understand John's explanation, but it could have been a lot worse, and it could have been a lot better, I think. Just regards to the financial exit, as we're calling this, I do hope that this doesn't mean that we're just going to let it drop and let them fight for themselves. We're having a lot of trouble letting the retail units, and I've sent an email this week relaying Capital and Centric concerns as well. And I do hope I get a response soon for that. The residential bit is really good. It seems to be practically fully let all of the time, and that's a huge success. My opinion is that we do need to make a call on the community hub part of it to get that large unit filled with whatever we decide to do, but somebody's got to make a call on that, I think, sooner rather than later, to encourage other operators to take up occupancy in the units, because at the minute it's a bit like a white elephant.
Yeah, again through you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Flitcroft. I think I did see your email yesterday. Forgive me, I was back to back all day, so I will. Okay. I will endeavour to respond, if not today, certainly by Monday. But I've not had a chance. But I suspect it relates to under occupancy in some of the commercial units and how the council might be able to support capital and centric. I'll just come back to your first point. I think probably important to note that certainly the extended period of negotiation with the developer and colleagues at GMCA did result in additional interest payment. But to be clear, the mezzanine debt would always have been repaid in full with the accrued interest payments that we reported and anticipated when the mezzanine debt was first introduced. So we certainly would not have been worse off. We have as a consequence of the project, as I say, taking a little bit longer to move ultimately into what now has become a refinance matter. As I say, did drive additional financial benefit in the form of accrued interest for the council, but we certainly would have secured our anticipated returns on the mezzanine debt and as I say, the land value receipt was always the land value receipt. We through this report are correcting, as I say, an admin difficulty. I think in terms of your wider point, yes, absolutely. I think the council has, whilst we are exiting the regeneration project per se, I think you're absolutely right. We continue as a council to have an interest in the project through the community hub. I know Lee is on the call, and we've spoken many times about the community hub. There is a strong desire to see that space occupied and adding vibrancy, not just to Farnworth Green, but to the district centre itself. Lee might want to come in, but it's my understanding that one of the challenges that we have at the moment is because of the understandable passion that members of the community have for the Carnegie building, that there is a desire to, if, for example, we were to consider relocation of the library, and I'm mindful that there was subject of consultation, we would also need to have, I think, a robust plan in place to be able to say, well, we can now backfill the Carnegie space with another credible use that will add value to the town, to the district centre office. So I'll maybe invite Lee in if he wants to add any comments to that. I think probably the final point is in terms of the commercial units, then certainly I will have a look at your email. Forgive me, I've not had a chance, as I say, to do so, but we obviously have an opportunity through our business Bolton team as well to perhaps work with colleagues at Capital and Centric and to offer some support in terms of trying to bring into play occupants of those commercial units. But I know from certainly the many discussions I had with Capital and Centric during the development's progression, they were very keen to get the right occupants in those into those commercial units so that we create that really authentic offer rather than just dare I say reaching potentially into high street brands that perhaps would be able to fill the space but wouldn't necessarily create the developments ultimately or the the development vision that was initially set out for Farnworth Green. But I'll pause, Chair. I don't know whether Lee does want to come in or whether that's sufficiently covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. I think it does sufficiently cover that. Do you want to come in, Lee?
I guess just a quick point, there's a lot of work in the background going on about we are really conscious we need to do something with Farnworth, and we're working with colleagues in corporate property, but as John said, it's a bit of a jigsaw piece. Once we can get one piece of it sorted, which will be around the Carnegie and the library, a lot of things will move quite quickly. We're having lots of conversations with the college, with the NHS, about everything that we can get into this community hub, but we just need to do the work, which we're doing right now in the background. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Councillor Patel?
Chair, sorry, can I just come back in there, please?
Yeah, Councillor Flitcroft, absolutely. Quickly,
Thank you. I appreciate everything that you've both said there, but somebody needs to make a call on it sooner rather than later. It can't just sit waiting. It can't. And I know it's tough because sometimes difficult decisions can be unpopular, but sometimes it has to be done. You have to put your, as I say, big girl knickers on and make the call. Sorry.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Flitcroft. Absolutely. Councillor Patel?
Hi, thank you, Chair. My question is going back to obviously the error. Obviously, there's been multiple reports and it wasn't picked up until recently. So it's more about, are we now sort of confident that the sort of current governance sort of arrangements for major regeneration programs are robust enough to ensure that any sort of errors like this doesn't happen in the future? Have we got things in place now?
Thank you. John, are you coming in?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Councillor Patel, the error was identified very early on in the process, but as it related to a matter which came into play at the end of the project, I think there was a view that it would be better to step through the development itself, and when we move to a place whereby we, as I say, bring into play financial closure, then that would afford us an opportunity to bring into play, I guess, the reconciliation process for all of the financial matters relating to the council's interest in the scheme, and we would seek to correct the administrative error at that point in time. And I think that's the process that we've.
You've gone mute. You muted, John.
Apologies. Have I just gone on to mute then, or?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So I think, as I say, it's regrettable that we find ourselves having to correct something, but again, I think the important point is that the land value was always intended to be 750k. That's the piece that we are seeking to attend now, to amend to enable close out of the, as I say, the council's financial interest in the project, and certainly, reflecting on reports that have come forward since then and moving forward, I'm quite confident through you, Chair, that we have the necessary governance and checks and balances in place to ensure that we don't, as I say, have a repeat of this particular, as I say, administrative reporting error. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I see no more hands, so I am going to approve this report as set out under section 3, option 1. Thank you. We will now move to the confidential item. Vicky, do you need to switch off the recording?
Yeah, will do.
Had that been